With all of the issues that we got in the country at the moment and thoughts about where they could lead, one of the things I like to do is effectively spitball theoretical scenarios, ways that this situation could pan out. I wanted to share a very interesting one with you this morning. It's a bit of a story to read, really, so please indulge me. It's entitled The English Counties Declaration of Independence. And please understand that everything that I say beyond this point is just a theoretical scenario, but I found it quite interesting, hence I'm sharing it. So the background or context of this is set over about 10 years between now and 2035. In the decade leading up to 2035, the United Kingdom faces mounting challenges that exacerbate regional discontent. Economic stagnation, exacerbated by global trade disruptions and energy crises, has disproportionately affected rural and northern counties in England. Westminster's policies are increasingly perceived as London-centric, prioritising the capital and south east while neglecting infrastructure, healthcare and economic opportunities in other regions. Devolution successes in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland fuel resentment in England, where counties lack comparable autonomy. Social media platforms, including X, amplify local grievances with campaigns like #CountyRights and #WestminsterOut gaining a lot of traction. So in 2035, again, theoretically, there could be a trigger event which sets in motion a chain of events. A controversial Westminster policy, say a national tax reform that slashes funding for local councils while increasing levies on rural industries like agriculture and manufacturing, spark widespread protests. The policy, dubbed the London Levy by critics, is seen as a final straw. County councils, particularly in Yorkshire, Cornwall, Lancashire and Somerset, hold emergency meetings, backed by grassroots movements. A coalition of county leaders calling themselves the English Regions Alliance, ERA for short, emerges demanding greater autonomy and threatening secession if its demands are unmet. So we move to 2026 and there's an escalation, and it goes like this. Westminster, facing its own crises, e.g. a hung parliament and declining public trust, responds with a mix of concessions and crackdowns. Negotiations for a new English Devolution Act stall when the government refuses to grant counties fiscal autonomy or veto powers over national policies. Protests escalate into civil disobedience, with counties like Cornwall and Yorkshire symbolically declaring provisional autonomy. Local militias, largely ceremonial but vocal, form in rural areas, while urban centres like Manchester and Leeds see mass demonstrations. So now we're moving into 2037, 12 years from this point. On May the 1st, 2037, the ERA, now representing 30 of England's 48 ceremonial counties, issues the Declaration of English Counties. The document, drafted in York, asserts that Westminster's governance violates the historic rights of shires and counties, citing precedents like the Magna Carta and the autonomy of medieval shires. Key points include sovereignty. Counties claim the right to self-governance, including control over local taxes, infrastructure and justice systems. Federation. The ERA proposes a loose confederation of counties, rejecting Westminster's authority but maintaining allegiance to the Crown to avoid accusations of treason. Economic control. Counties demand the right to negotiate trade and retain revenue from local industries, e.g. Cornwall for mining, Yorkshire for manufacturing. The declaration is not unanimous. London, Kent and Surrey remain loyal to Westminster, creating a patchwork of allegiances. Cornwall, with its distinct cultural identity, is the first to establish a provisional government, followed by Yorkshire and Cumbria. So after all that, We move into 2037 to 2038, where we get a response from Westminster. The central government, led by a fragile coalition, is divided. Hardliners advocate military intervention, but the British Army, stretched thin by international commitments, is reluctant to engage in domestic conflict. Instead, Westminster imposes economic sanctions, cutting funding to rebellious counties. This backfires as counties like Devon and Norfolk leverage local agriculture and renewable energy to sustain themselves. International actors, including the EU and US, urge dialogue, wary of fragmented UK destabilising NATO and European trade. So the outcome of all this stretches to 2038 to 2040, and we're coming to the end of the story. By 2040, the crisis evolves into a stalemate. Some counties like Cornwall and Yorkshire establish de facto autonomy, running local elections and managing budgets independently. Others, like Essex and Hampshire, negotiated enhanced devolution deals with Westminster, retaining ties but gaining significant powers. The UK remains intact on paper, but England effectively becomes a federation of semi-autonomous regions. The monarchy, under King Charles III or his successor, serves as a symbolic unifier, preventing total dissolution. So what factors are there that could enable this scenario? Economic disparity, chronic underinvestment in rural and northern counties fuels resentment. Cultural identity, regions like Cornwall and Yorkshire leverage historic identities to rally support. Devolution precedent, success in Scotland and Wales inspire English counties to seek similar powers. A weak central government, instability in Westminster undermines its ability to enforce unity. Let's face it, we're somewhere near that part. Public support, grassroots movements amplified online, great momentum for regionalisation. Now there are challenges, of course. These are economic viability. Many counties lack the resources for full independence, relying on national infrastructure. Division, urban-rural splits, and differing priorities. International pressure. Global powers prefer a stable UK, limiting external support for secession of the counties. So it's very interesting, isn't it, that potential scenario. You know, there are many different ways that this country could go in the next 10, 20, even 30 years, and that's just one possibility dreamed up by a taxi driver from Margate. And, you know, I love spitballing different things and sharing them with you. Have a listen, have a think, and let me know your comments. Thanks very much for listening. Something a little bit different. As always, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Here's another video on England, funnily enough. And as always, I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.